But I do want to go ahead and talk about some things. My first impressions of the game, really, after 2 streams of playing it. Um, really, just because I think Pokemon deserves better. I am enjoying the game, and I'm going to keep playing the game, but Pokemon, it can do better than this. You know, well, let's be fully aware here. So there. Obviously, first thing to start with, we've got the graphics. Yeah, the graphics would have been, I would say, actually good back on the Wii days. Of course, everyone knows about the Windows, I think. That is atrocious. It's like they have just... It's like they put in a temporary solution just to make it make more sense in testing. And then somebody higher up just said, no, that's good enough. Don't finish it. Just leave it as it is. That's the impression I got. And that's not good. You know, that's... We shouldn't be accepting that. The Pokemon are fine. You can see some of the polygons at times. That's not the biggest issue. I think, obviously, the biggest issues really are the windows. You know, if you look at any of the seams on the buildings, you can see nothing matches up. This is relatively good right here. Like, and the pop-in. The pop-in is so bad. You can see if I start walking this way, you can see characters just popping in and out. Like, why? Like, I actually think I could see them better when I was further away. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. As far as attack animations, everything's fine. You know, it's not stellar. It's not gonna wow you, but it's fine. You know, people aren't playing Pokemon for graphics, but when you look at the windows and you look at the buildings that don't match up, and you look at the pop-in, like, that's stuff that yanks you out of the immersion. I think that's really a shame, because you shouldn't be yanked out of the Pokemon immersion. That Pokemon immersion should be like your happy place. You shouldn't have to be yanked out of it, right? You know, that animation is fine. I can't complain about that type of thing. You know, we actually get the Pokemon going up to each other, which is good. Though there are some issues with that I'll get to later. NPC designs. Let me see if I can go, just as an example, to like the Looker Bureau. I know Emma is there. The NPC designs are perfectly fine. They're exactly as good as Pokemon designs have always been for the trainers, and I have absolutely no problem with them. An extension of that, the character customization for your player character is the best that Pokemon's ever had by a long shot, and I would say is maybe not the best that we can see nowadays, but it is perfectly serviceable. It's better than some of the other games that I've played recently. That might say more about those games being bad than this game being good, but I have no complaints about the NPC character designs. I I don't really want to go into it too much because it's a much more subjective thing. And I also haven't seen them all yet, but the Mega designs I'm not impressed with. I'm not impressed with the new Megas. I have not seen them all. I've seen, like, I have been spoiled on Mega Starmie, so heads up on that when I get to Mega Starmie in the game. You're not going to be getting my first reaction on that. But then, for Alligator, you know, he gets a giant hood on his head that turns into a Totodile jaw. Actually, here, I think I can pull that up in the Pokedex. Yeah. So, if we go... there we go. Wait, hold on, there we go. So, you know, they said we're going to turn for Alligator back into Totodile, which, you know, I guess I don't really agree with that. Like, if you're a fan of Feraligatr for Feraligatr and not just as an evolution of Totodile, I feel like that's kind of a slap in the face. You know, I like Totodile as much as the next guy, but I feel like a Mega Evolution should be going further in the direction that it's going, not reverting back. Like, I would be perfectly happy with that design as something else, like as an alternate form or something, but I don't feel like it applies to Megas, and I think that's a trend that you can kind of catch with all of these Megas, like, you know, Mega Victory Bell, Mega Starmie, they're, like, intentionally designed to be silly. And that's just not what Mega Evolutions were to me. I know a lot of people did find them silly, because the idea was like, oh, they're so edgy that they're not even cool anymore, they're just silly because they're so edgy. But there's a huge difference between so far in one direction that it becomes silly and deliberately intended to be silly. Like, there's so much of a difference there. And I personally, so far from what I've seen, it feels like an entirely different mechanic that they've called Mega Evolution. I don't know. Maybe you agree with that. Maybe you don't. Let me know. Oh, and also, back on the Mega Evolutions topic, they really shove Megas down your throat. Like, they like straight up told you in one of the cutscenes, I don't remember which one, they're like, you should build a team with all Mega Evolutions. Like, one of the main appeals to Mega Evolution for me specifically was that, you know, you only had one on your team, because if you had a whole bunch, you wouldn't be able to use all of their Megas at once, you know? You only get one Mega Evolution per battle, right? And now that limiter is just not there, and I think that completely destroys the vibe for me, anyway. Like, it feels like the one Mega that you chose isn't a impactful decision anymore, because you don't have to choose one. You can just use them all. But yeah, moving on. Music. For the most part, music's good. There's a lot of remixes from X and Y. I know some people don't like that, or didn't like the X and Y original soundtrack. That's fine. I liked it. Not my favorite in the series. It's fine. Don't really know what to say about that. But there are a couple tracks that just sound bad. And, of course, since this just happened, I do want to go ahead and point out the day-night cycle. I don't think I had a tab set for that or anything yet. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything for the day-night cycle set, but the day-night cycle in this game is very intrusive. The fact that you're forced to watch that little cutscene every time it shifts back and forth between day and night, it just yanks you out of the gameplay. And that's not something you ever want to do. Games have been doing seamless day-night cycles for decades now. Like, why is this a thing? It's really baffling. I don't really know what to say about that. Yeah. So back on the music topic, similar to music is voice acting. There is none. For a full price premium game released in 2025, I think having absolutely zero voice acting except these grunts for when your player character rolls and nothing else is outright unacceptable. That's just my opinion. You know, Legend of Zelda, since the N64 days, they didn't voice act the entire game. You know that, but they had, you know, the character going, "Oh yeah, oh," you know, the sounds. Even just that much does so much more for me. I know some people don't like it. They had an option, just one toggle option to turn it on and off in the settings. That's all it takes. And that would immediately be such a better situation than this. In like 2012, 2013, you know, over a decade ago, Fire Emblem Awakening came out. That was also a Nintendo game for a series that was primarily focused on handhelds, just like Pokemon. And they added voice-acted cutscenes, and they added partial voice acting for all of the other dialogue, where, you know, they'd say like the first word or so, first word or two of the line, and then they had like a number of presets, so they didn't always have to voice act the first line. You know, things like "okay" or "oh no" or "ah," you know, generic things could be used in multiple places. Even that would go so far. It's ridiculous that the only voice acting in the entire game is this. And I can't even get it to do it right now. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. This is a series. It deserves it, and it's not getting it, unfortunately. Yeah, so next, world exploration. So I do have good and bad things to say here, of course. I think Lumio City is relatively well done. When I play this game, I want to go around and explore Lumio City. You know, I'm walking around and I see the obstacles. Of course, this is like the worst example of the obstacle. This is the most bare bones one you can see. But you know, you're running around, you see an obstacle course, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna have, you know, a little bit of fun. It's not the most engaging thing in the world, but you know, you see these, you want to do them, right? I think they did a good job with that. There's you know, I've been running around this whole time collecting items, and each one of these little items, you know, the little shinies that respawn on the ground, the Pokeballs, each one of those is just that tiny little bit of dopamine hit. I think that's good. They did a good job with that. Two problems with that. First is that this is all you got. This is a very, very small open world. So they've done a good job in this section, but the amount that we're getting for this is so far below the standard that is expected in 2025 of a triple A. Like, Pokemon both like is and is not a triple A company. It deserves, well, it is a triple A company. The Pokemon company is like quadruple 10 A's. It is the biggest A in the entire world as far as like triple A. But Game Freak and the Pokemon games themselves are effectively indie. Like that is what this game basically is. It's basically an indie game, and it shouldn't be. It's treated as a full price AAA game for sales, but it's developed like an indie game, and that's not right. Like that shouldn't be how it is. The other thing is you see all these things you want to do when you're playing through the game, and you're going around wanting to do them. Oh, I want to go get that item right there. You see it? I want to go get it. And the first, like, 3 hours or so, for my experience anyway, was, oh, nope, you're not allowed to go get that. It's right there, but no, you're not allowed to. You have to go follow the characters around. Wait, no. You're going to get lost. Don't go over there, little child. No. And, you know, that's the kind of game design philosophy Game Freak has been taking recently. You know, the older games had like almost no hand holding. You could pretty much go pretty much wherever you want, and maybe there were certain areas that were blocked off until you progressed a certain amount. That's fine. But oh, you can't go 10 feet in that direction or 10 feet in that direction because you have to follow the character is something that I would say probably started actually kind of with X and Y here. But even then, not to this extent at all. The hand-holding in this is absurd, and it should be treated as absurd, and, you know, it's our duty as Pokemon fans to tell them that this is absurd. You shouldn't have to play through, you know, 3 hours of the game to get any kind of agency. That isn't how it should be. Right? But yeah. So, you know, I think they've done a good job with the world building, the open world. I think they definitely could have done better. But then the fact that you're just blocked out of enjoying the open world. Like the biggest... and there's the intrusive... See how long this takes. I can't do anything. I can't do anything. I still can't do anything. I wasn't even participating in the Royale battle there. Like... And it makes me go through that... Oh, you didn't get any points. Oh, no. Like... Okay, anyway. We'll see how many times that happens during my rant here. But yeah, they just don't like trust us to have any agency until a certain point. And one of the main appeals of an open world game is going where you want and doing what you want, right? And so if you're not going to do that, why is it even open world in the first place? But, yeah, next, combat. I think, for the most part, the combat in this game is very good. If I, like, start a battle here... come on out, look at that. I caught that. Okay, well, I'm probably gonna catch that, too. Okay, well, here, let me fly to an area... Where's this one? I want to go here because there are other things I can show here. The combat is mostly pretty good. It's got some issues, though. So one thing I think is really good. So if I... Oh, this is going to just KO it, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, I didn't mean to do that. So if I start this battle here, one of the things I think is really nice is the way you can use Protect. You know, you can say, I'm going to hold off on using this attack because I want to use Protect. And you can hold off on the attack because you say, I want to, you know, have my Pokemon run around. You know, I don't want to be put in this vulnerable state. And that really sells the premise that the anime sells you on really well for me. You know, the like that. Protect being like a parry. That is a fantastic form of skill expression. I love it. And the fact that you can dodge certain attacks. That being said, let's see, there should... I thought there was an alpha Rock around here, but I'm not seeing it at the moment. Some moves just don't quite work properly. Dig is the biggest example I can think of right now, because so hold on, if I can describe, I'm gonna demonstrate the Protect thing here again. I'm just not gonna do anything, wait for him to do it, and there we Protect. That's a great form of skill expression. I like it. But moves like Dig just were not tested, because they're not gonna show me anymore, but when a Pokemon uses Dig, it becomes completely untargetable. And it used to be that this was that was a positive effect, but it was balanced out by the fact that now your opponent knows exactly what you're gonna do, and you can say use Protect or something. However, you can't tell right now, but I'm pressing the button to pull up my moves right now, and it's not working because there's nothing in range for me to target. So if I need there to be something in range to target in order to do even self-targeting moves like Protect, then all of a sudden Dig no longer has counterplay. And I think that's a problem. Like, we had a great system here, and with the original games, and they introduced the change that throws in more problems than it solves. I don't think it makes sense for things like Aegislash to have its ability when other Pokemon don't. I feel like abilities should still be in the game, and it was probably just they were cut due to laziness or time, lacking in time. It's rather baffling to me. I don't think there's anybody who's like, man, I wish they got rid of abilities in Pokemon. You know, abilities are overrated. Nobody says that. Everyone loves Pokemon abilities. And then you see they remove abilities in this game, and then they're like, oh, but we've still got it for Aegislash because it's an integral part of the Pokemon's design. Like, why is Levitate not an integral part of Ghastly's design? Huh? But Ghastly doesn't have Levitate in this game. It doesn't make sense to me. Furthermore, this kind of goes in with the combat stuff, is the forcing of Mega Evolutions. I already talked about that. What else did I have written down here? More about the day-night cycle. Yeah, if we've already seen the day-night cycle come up while I was talking about stuff, but if you're in a Pokemon battle and it shifts from day to night, you get thrown out of that battle, and your opponent's Pokemon gets fully healed or completely despawned, while your Pokemon keeps his damage. That's not a good setup, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I don't. Anyway, your Pokemon can get stuck on obstacles. I don't really know how I'm gonna demonstrate that at the moment, but like if I come over here and I press Shadow Sneak, well, he's just gonna do it. But if I let me see if I can get it. So if I go like, what the? Oh, I can't even target it because I'm being line of sighted. But like I've seen several times where you'll tell your Pokemon to do a move and then your Pokemon will just do this for several seconds. Your Pokemon will just be like, oh, I'm trying to do my move, and it just doesn't work. I feel like that stuff shouldn't exist in the game. You know, this game isn't in alpha or beta pre-release stages. It's a finished product, and that's not the kind of thing you'd see from a finished product, right? That's unfortunate. I do have another good thing I want to talk about though, and that is, I guess, probably what I'm gonna have to do for the story anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and progress here. But that is, I like the Royale battles. Being able to sneak up on the enemy trainers is a great way to flip the script on how Pokemon has been for a while. I like it when there's an incentive, like a soft incentive, not a hard incentive, to do sneaking in games. You know, you could just go into the battles and just go right in and just do normal battles the whole way through. You don't have to do any sneaking at all, but you're incentivized to, and I think that's a good thing. And then on top of that, there's the mission cards that you can pull up, or you can pick up while you're in the zone, the battle zone, and those incentivize you to switch up your team and use other moves. And I think that's a good thing. So like here, land hits with flying type moves. I don't have any flying type moves on my team right now, so that doesn't do me any good. But, you know, I like these. These are good. This is a good way to add variance, so you're not just running in with the same Pokemon over and over. And you see there, I failed at, ow, oh, you gotta recover. Ow. Okay, well, see, that was a skill issue right there. Yeah, I am lower level, but that was a skill issue. I should have played that better. That's what it comes down to. And I like that. That is good in this game. Yeah. The Royale battles and the combat in general, I think, is good. It's just a little rough around the edges. But yeah, that's really where I'm at with this game. I'd like to see a Pokemon game reach its full potential, and I'm not super confident that's ever really gonna happen again, unfortunately. But we'll see. I am only partway through the game. You know, maybe things will change. I know it's really popular to hate on this game right now. The best way I can describe it is that it feels like this game, when you're playing this game, you see certain things that you can tell somebody put their heart and soul into, and it's just surrounded by crap. Like they're good. So this game has the whole spectrum. It's got things where you can tell somebody worked really hard on it and they wanted to do the best that they could. And then right next to it, you'll see something that you can tell was very clearly just thrown in there because they didn't have time to do it better. And then there's a bunch of other things in this game that are like, okay, that's fine, it's serviceable, perfectly reasonable.